I'm travelling to Gloucestershire, home of one of the UK's biggest hedgehog hospitals. The hedgehogs here have suffered some terrible injuries, and I'm hoping tonight some of them will be well enough to return to the wild. Here at the Vale Wildlife Hospital, the staff and volunteers are on call 24/7 taking care of injured animals. I'm going to be following their progress from dusk till dawn. Assistant Manager Jeff is the man who decides when a hedgehog is ready for release. It's a critical decision. Hedgehogs are nocturnal. They have to be released at night so they're awake and can find food and shelter for themselves. But the hogs can only be released if they're healthy enough to survive on their own in the wild. And Jeff is going to put them through a series of health and behaviour tests to find out if they're ready. This place is unbelievable. Seriously, it's like a hog hotel, isn't it?
It's a very big hog hotel at the moment with 350 hedgehogs still in care.
This is Strimmer. Jeff thinks she could be ready to be discharged.
As you can see, she's had a previous injury. When she came into us, the whole of this area had been trimmed off.
Oh no, she's lost an ear.
Yeah. And our amazing vet and vet nurse have sorted her out beautifully.
Strimmer has made a great recovery from surgery, but that's only the first stage on the road to release. So I guess with hedgehogs, rehabilitation is all about putting weight back on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sending them out in a fit state so that they can survive in the wild. If it does go cooler again after they're released, they have reserves so that they can still survive hibernation. This one was around 190 when she came to us.
190 grams.
So she was very small, but
yeah.
She's recovered well, and we think she's now ready for release.
But before Strimmer can be released, she needs to be weighed.
We're looking for her to be over 650 grams and ideally under 1,000. If she is over, it can be a little problem regarding her being able to defend herself by curling up. So should we have a look?
So she is just over a kilo.
Just over.
Strimmer weighs 5 times more than she did when she came in. But that's actually a problem now. She could be too big. To test that, we need to give her a fright.
If you can turn her over onto her back.
Yeah.
And I just have to pretend to be a predator.
Right.
So her only defence against predators is her spines. So if she can't curl quite tightly enough,
There's still a little
there's a bit of a
soft
gap. You can still see
Yeah.
hedgehog inside those spines, so she'll need another few days on her diet before she goes for release.
Yeah. You need to stay off the carbs, my girl. Strimmer is going to have to wait a little bit longer. Once her weight has come down, the team will check on her again to see if she's ready for release. But some of the other 300 hedgehogs will hopefully be in the right physical condition. And later on tonight, we'll be helping 4 hedgehogs take their first steps back into the wild. Earlier on, I was in Gloucestershire, hoping that some of the hedgehogs they've nursed back to health are ready to return to the wild. Young Strimmer wasn't quite ready. She needs to lose a bit more weight. Now it's time to see if any of the other hedgehogs have recovered enough to be released. So we're looking for some good candidates, right?
Yep, you're looking for weights between 650 and 1,000 grams. So if you have a look through those and I'll carry on over here.
Will do. Okay, it's too light.
Too heavy.
Oh, this isn't bad.
Oh, right, this one, yeah, he came to us from South Wales. He's been in with us since December. He's probably getting rather frustrated now. He's also in with a female she was found in a pipe while someone was mowing their lawn. Both very similar weights, so I think they're probably good candidates to go. But we're just going to flip them over onto their backs as we did before and just tickle them with the pen and just make sure they can curl up nice and tightly. So my male's doing brilliantly.
Hedgehog tickling.
Hedgehog
You have
tickling.
the best job in the world, don't you?
It's quite unusual.
We've got 4 hedgehogs who seem like they could be ready for release. Now we need to find out whether they've got the right skills to survive back in the wild. So we're going to give them a test run in the back garden here at the hospital. We have to do this at night, because that's when the hedgehogs are active. But we need to be able to keep track of them in the dark, so I'm colour coding them.
So, that's the Welsh hedgehog. I'm going to call him Davith.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call her Delilah.
Lovely.
Right, so, Davith, you get a nice big bright yellow daffodil.
The non-toxic glow-in-the-dark paint will let me spot the hedgehogs with a torch so we can see how they're getting on.
When we whack on the UV light, look at that! Disco hogs! So, Delilah, I think orange is your colour.
This one is a male, pulled out of a storm drain, actually. He is quite active.
And he's instantly trying to make a break for freedom.
Very, very
So I'm going to call him McQueen.
McQueen.
Like the Great Escape.
Good luck.
Because he's always trying to escape. Okay, so you get some blue dots.
I have a female.
Oh, amazing.
900 grams, curling nice and tightly.
Well, the only colour we've got left is pink, so guess what? I'm going to call her Pinky.
Our hedgehogs are now ready, and it's the perfect time of night to put them outside. It's fully dark, and most of their prey, like slugs, will be out in the open. If this test run in the garden goes well, they'll be sent back to the wild.
Our 4 subjects are all active, snuffling, marked up with their bright fluorescent paint, and ready for a run around the hospital gardens.
Gardens are perfect for hedgehogs.
No slug pellets, no strimmers, no bonfires, no cats, but what we have got are plenty of hedgehog homes. You can see that one inside there with lots of nice bedding material. Dotted around the garden as well, we've got some bowls full of food.
All we need now is some hedgehogs. Some of these hogs haven't been outside for 4 months, and I can't wait to see how they get on.
That's Delilah. Okay, terrific.
A quick flash with a UV torch shows how the Dayglow paint makes them easy to find in the dark.
Easily
No
spotted.
doubt. Perfect. We're now going to back off, give them a bit of space, and see if they emerge to start foraging. And that should give us a really good idea if they're ready to go from this garden out into the wild.
I'm back at the Hedgehog Rescue Centre in Gloucestershire to see how our hedgehogs are coping on their first night outdoors in months. I want to see whether they're ready to go back out into the wild. The dark doesn't bother our hedgehogs. They use their incredible sense of smell to find their way at night.
Our 4 hedgehog heroes have settled down into their cosy homes, so hopefully they'll emerge to start feeding and foraging.
They must prove that they can explore their surroundings, find food, and somewhere safe to sleep. Only then will they be permanently released to fend for themselves.
Our hogs have been making merry for a good while now. Let's have a little wander around and see if we can find them all.
Using an ultraviolet torch, I should be able to spot the hogs in the pitch black thanks to their brightly coloured makeovers I've given them.
So Delilah is still inside the hedgehog home in there. I'm not going to disturb her and I'll keep my voice down.
Hopefully she'll come out later, as it's the only way she'll be able to find food. But one of the other hedgehogs couldn't wait to start exploring.
So, though our hedgehog homes may appear to be perfect, sometimes hogs just want to find a home of their own. And they'll scamper off and try and find a place that suits them. So, Pinky's now bedded down in a nice quiet corner. Could well be where she spends the daytime. Just 2 more unaccounted for. Who's this? Ah, I see blue dots. That is McQueen, sniffing around the edge of the perimeter, looking for somewhere where we can make a breakout. What we'd love to see now would be them actively looking for food. And that could be, naturally, digging for earthworms, or it could be coming and finding the little food offerings we've left around the garden.
Hedgehogs have to completely fill their whole stomach twice every night to get enough energy to survive, so McQueen has a lot of foraging to do.
He's starting to naturally feed. He's ignored the cat food we put out for him and is instead starting to root around with that snout, possibly looking for worms. This is really interesting. What he's doing here is called self-anointing. So he's covering his spines with spit. You can see there's a white collar of spit over him now. And that's something they quite often do in response to a new smell or taste in their environment.
These are all good signs that these hedgehogs are ready for release. But we've still got one hedgehog missing, Davith.
There's a lot of paint down here. Davith was definitely here, but he's done a runner.
Hedgehogs can travel up to 2 kilometres a night. Hopefully he's not gone too far.
Finally found him. Well, Davith has managed to cross through 3 separate gardens and is absolutely miles away from where he was released, which is fantastic. And I'm pretty content. This is actually a much better result than I expected. We have 3 out of 4 hogs on the loose, tearing around the garden, feeding merrily away, and clearly doing really, really well.
It's only a night in a garden, but it means a lot to me to be involved with this. Hedgehogs are in real danger, and I'd like us all to be able to spot them at night in our gardens. So carefully getting them back into the wild is really important work. And apart from Delilah, who never left her bed, I'm really pleased, because it looks like our hedgehogs are showing the skills they need to go back to the wild. If the weather stays good, these 3 could be released as soon as next week. Tonight, I'm back at the Vale Wildlife Hospital in Gloucestershire, where nearly 400 hedgehogs are being nursed back to health. And I've just heard that an emergency case has come in. A hedgehog had to be pulled from the jaws of a dog, and his vital signs don't look good. Nurse Lydia rushes him straight to intensive care.
I'm not 100% sure what is wrong with him at this stage. I'm just having a look in his mouth, just to see if there's anything sort of stuck in there.
He's got difficulty breathing.
He has got quite a snotty nose.
It could be a sign of fluid leaking from his lungs.
The chest actually looks okay. It looks fairly clear. You can see the diaphragm there, so it's not, there doesn't seem to have been a rupture of sorts, but there's a lot of gas in the abdomen here, which may be why he's struggling, because he's sort of breathing from the abdomen rather than the chest.
Now Lydia has identified the problem, Jeff is called in to treat him.
Oh, he is not looking well.
Not looking very well at all at the moment, so we're going to just check how well he is doing. We're going to check for dehydration. I just gently tent the skin, doesn't hurt him at all, and then when I release, it should spring back easily within 2 seconds.
But it's taking quite a long time,
It's actually staying a little tented in the spot. Potentially, I guess, there could have been something wrong with him in the first place, which is why the dog has picked him up so easily.
Dehydration means Jeff needs to get fluids into this little hedgehog as quickly as possible.
If you can just pop your hand over his head there, just to save him moving forward. Straight in line with him.
This looks stressful, but it could be saving his life.
Definitely, yeah. There's only 3 things that we really say save wildlife when they come in this state, and it's fluids, warmth and quiet.
So this is not a happy hog. He is thin, dehydrated, possibly a little battered and bruised as well. So we're going to keep a watch on him all the way through the night and just hope that he makes it.
For now, we've done everything we can. It's going to be a tense night, waiting to see if this little hedgehog pulls through. It's the middle of the night, and we're travelling all across Britain to lift the lid on what animals get up to while we're asleep. Earlier, at Vale Wildlife Hospital in Gloucestershire, a hedgehog was brought in having been mauled by a dog. He wasn't looking very well. I helped administer fluids in the hope it would help this hedgehog in its fight for life. Our best efforts weren't enough. I just heard that the little hedgehog died. But the next patient already needs our help. A baby squirrel is brought in after the tree she was born in was cut down. There's no sign of her parents. She needs intensive feeding throughout the night, and Jeff has to be a squirrel's surrogate mum.
She's a little bit down on her weight from this time yesterday, Steve, so we'll just give her a bit of milk just to top her up and make sure that she's up to weight for this time, for first thing in the morning.
Oh, look at that. She's loving that. That is hands down the cutest grey squirrel I've ever seen in my life.
These are some of the easiest patients to feed, I must say.
I guess one of the big challenges is making sure that they don't get too used to people.
Yeah, for us, imprinted animals are an absolute disaster. We have to make sure all the animals that we send back to the wild are fit to be in the wild, so they can take care of themselves. They stand a chance of survival equal to that of a non-rehabbed animal. And unfortunately, tamed animals really can't be considered as that. So with these guys, I know she looks very cute at the moment, but our ideal moment is when she starts biting people.
Great.
Which looks like it may happen any minute.
Raising an orphaned animal is a delicate balance between giving it the care it needs and keeping it a wild animal. With our special low-light cameras, we're getting a view of Britain's nocturnal animals like never before. Tonight, I've come back to the Hedgehog Hospital, where I'm helping care for over 300 hedgehogs. Our hope is to release them back into the wild, but before they go, they need to be given a clean bill of health. One hog has us worried, not just for her, but for every animal here.
This young lady in here has been of particular concern. Over the last couple of days, it's been noted that she has been sporadically coughing. And so I'm going to take a poo sample and we'll have a look and see what we can find under the microscope.
This is the glamour end of the industry.
It certainly is.
A little hedgehog cough may sound kind of cute, but it can be a sign of some pretty serious lung diseases, and that would be a massive setback for the recovery and release of this little hog.
Lungworm is the most likely culprit for her cough. This hedgehog could be suffocating from eggs being laid in her throat. The best way to find out is to forage through our hedgehog's feces. And guess who's got that job?
Mashing smooth hedgehog poo. I tell you, this wasn't in the brochure.
No, it never is.
How's that looking?
That looks perfect. And then you take a cover slip, which is the very thin piece of glass.
Yeah.
And then you need to place that squarely over the top of that poo. So it's in the middle. Hooray, well done. And then you just pop a bit of pressure on it and spread it out. And then that just goes on the microscope. And we're generally looking for one of those 5 parasites. Yeah.
So this is the important bit. This is when we find out if this little hedgehog is healthy or has lungworm and is going to need a bit longer to stay here before it's released. So what are we seeing here?
At the moment, I'm seeing a close-up of lots of little pieces of poo and nothing else, which is perfect. It's a clear sample.
Hooray, amazing news!
Really good news.
Luckily, it turns out she's clear, and in a few days' time, she can be released.
And for the other hedgehogs here, it's good news. There's no sign of a potentially dangerous parasite on the loose.